So it's exciting, right? It's exciting to be here, 150th anniversary. I've been very moved by the show of patriotism and the love for country that I've seen over the past few days. I can't believe all the events that were going on yesterday. And truly, there was something for everyone to celebrate something, right? And as I posted on Facebook, you know, I'm kind of a Facebook person, in case you didn't know that. I posted on Facebook, I actually chose to forego the festivities so I could be prepared for today. In other words, I chose to work instead of play. See what I do for you? Seriously though, it was important to me because this is an important celebration in the lives of Canadians. And I wanted to make sure that I gave a talk that was honoring not only of the day, but also of the people. So it was important to me. I didn't want to do just a recycled, kind of Canadianized version of a 4th of July talk that I might have given in the past. Because, you know, I know the 4th of July pretty well. As a kid growing up in the States, you learn the story. You know it really, really well. So it's an easy topic, and I can always, if I talk about truth and freedom, I can make that a Canadian talk as well. However, being relatively new to Canada, I don't know this story as well. So I knew that the celebrations were similar. I knew that there were barbecues and there were fireworks and there were, hoopla and patriotism and speeches and all that. But I didn't know the history behind it. And I know that the history is different. So I'm going to ask you all to bear with me as I attempt to make a correlation between the history of Canada and Canada Day and tie it in with metaphysics and spirituality. So will you be kind to me? Yes. Okay, thank you. So here goes. This is according to CanadaDay.com. Seriously. Canada Day is celebrated on July 1st, marking the anniversary of the Confederation joining Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and the Canada province, which is now Ontario and Quebec, into a single country. Now that's like it, right? But I didn't understand the word Confederation. I've heard people talk about it because to me, the Confederates were the losing side of the American Civil War, right? The Confederates. So they were not the good guys. So you know me, I have to look things up. So I had to look up the word Confederation, and it shed a completely different light for me. This is the definition of Confederation: a permanent union of countries or with some or most political power vested in a central authority. An organization that consists of a number of parties or groups united in an alliance or league. Now what stands out to you there? Because I know what stands out for me. United in an alliance. That's the phrase that struck me. In other words, Canada Day is about the celebrating of the coming together of people. And it has been the guiding principle of this country ever since. Yes, at the time they were still under British rule, I get that, and it wasn't until much later that Canadians thought of themselves as separate from Britain. But the fact is, and this is where the metaphysics come in, the fact is the collective consciousness of Canada began in unity. And that commitment to unity continues today. Is this making sense to you? It's making sense to me. Now, I know that Canadian history is not all peaches and cream. I get that. I know that there was great abuse of the Aboriginals. I know that. I know that there was abuse of people from different countries. However, as Canada has grown and become a world power, it has made great strides in making amends to the natives and being open to diversity and open to people of different cultures. That's the key here, folks. Not living with what used to be, but being open to what's new and different. I found this quote by George Radwanski and Julia Luttrell, who wrote, "Canadians have shaped out of the North American wilderness one of the most privileged societies on the face of the earth. Ranking among the 7 most prosperous nations in the world, Canada is rich not only in the abundance of our resources and magnificence of our land, but also in the diversity and character of our people. We have long been known as one of the most tolerant, progressive, innovative, caring, and peaceful societies in existence." What that means is, as the world has evolved and has become more open and accepting, Canada has been quietly leading the way. Now, I use the word evolve very deliberately in this because it is an evolution process. Listen to some of the synonyms for evolution and to evolve: to change, to grow, to progress, to advance, and to develop. So we're talking about evolution here, and here's where it gets spiritual. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, says evolution is proof of an irresistible urge which pushes everything onward and upward. Man did not create life. He is something that lives in, from, and by it. He cannot escape life or the necessity of giving expression to it through living. So it is through this inclusivity and this unity that Canada embodies is the absolute outpicturing of spirit wanting to be expressed more fully, more completely, more lovingly, and more openly. Contrary to what seems to be happening in other parts of the world. Because yes, we are seeing not that going on around the world. Am I right? We're seeing, oh God, I'm feeling emotional all of a sudden. We're seeing intolerance and hatred and fear. And the word that came to me when I was preparing, when I was not at Canada Day celebrations, the word that came to me was contraction. We are seeing people and societies and groups contracting. There are so many people who feel like because the world appears to be changing and it's kind of scary and people are moving into their neighborhoods who look different, that the appropriate action is to contract and to protect and tighten and defend. And I can understand that if we were living in fear and otherness. I can understand that if the desire is to go back to the way it was. But ladies and gentlemen, we can't. We can't go back to the way it was. Because life doesn't work like that. Oliver Wendell Holmes, not Ernest Holmes, said this: "Man's mind, once stretched by a new idea, never regains its original dimensions." Man's mind, once stretched by a new idea, never regains its original dimensions. In other words, we can't unknow what we know. We can't unlearn what we've learned. We can't go back to times of ignorance and separation. We can't. And the reason for that is, I've talked about this before, it's kind of my new bandwagon. Once the internet, once cell phones came into being, the old way of being, the old world, the old paradigm, world paradigm, got left behind. Things like otherness and separation became a thing of the past. I mean, seriously, how can there be true separation if I can pick up my phone and press a couple of buttons and look at and talk to somebody in Timbuktu? Am I right? How can there be separation when science is proving that we're all made of the same stuff? How can there be separation when every one of us have experienced a sense of connection with other people that defies logic? So this idea of wanting to go back the way it was simply can't happen unless we're willing to give up our technology and go back to living in what might someday be called the Dark Ages. So this upheaval that we're seeing in the world is a process that old-time metaphysicians used to call chemicalization. Chemicalization. And chemicalization is when something new is trying to emerge. The old paradigm, the old way of being starts holding on for dear life. And the result is this chaos that we are seeing and experiencing. It's that us against them mentality. It's the right against the left. It's the blue against the red. It's icky. And it's disturbing. And it's distressing. Earlier this week, as I do every week as part of our marketing program, I post on our center's Facebook page, which has over 10,000 followers. How cool is that, right? So I post, and random people, sorry, not you. You all are not random, but there's some random people, I'll tell you why. So I posted what my talk was going to be about today. So I'm going to talk about Canada's history, and I was going to talk about diversity and the inclusivity that for which Canada has become known, with a nice Canada flag and everything. And I got a response that really disturbed me. This person wrote, "No diversity here when we have those among us that want us dead and hate us." They actually named the group, but I'm not going to name the group. No diversity here when we have those among us who want us dead and hate us. This has not made me love Canada, for I miss what it used to be before they came here. It made me cry. Because not only is it diametrically opposed to what it was that I was talking about and conveying in my post, but it's diametrically opposed to how I try to live my life. And yet, coming from a place of compassion, and we talked about compassion last week, and we're going to talk about compassion again next week. So coming from that place of compassion, I realize that this person feels equally as disturbed and upset by the changes that they feel are happening all around them. They feel as if the Canada they know and loved is gone. For them, the changes have not been for the better. And you know what? I get that. There are areas of my life where I could possibly be not as forward-thinking and open-minded as I would like to be. For instance, when we used to have two organizations of Centers for Spiritual Living, and when the two organizations merged a couple of years ago, I didn't like the changes. I still don't like some of the changes. And I wanted things to go back the way they were. I was definitely in the us against them frame of mind. Of course, us being the good guys and them being the bad guys. And yet the truth is, the changes that are happening had to happen. There had to be a shift. There had to be a shake-up, a chemicalization to allow something new to emerge. Because that new something, that new organization that has emerged is clearer, and it is brighter, and it is a more open organization than ever before. We wouldn't have been having this conversation 30 years ago. 20 years ago, when I first became a minister, we would not be having this conversation. Because again, what happens is we live in a universe that is evolving. It is progressing. It is developing. It is growing. We can't go back. Evolution is a law that cannot be denied. So we can either work with it or we can fight against it, but it's going to win, or we're going to die out. All of that to say, yay, Canada. Because of your national collective consciousness of unity and inclusivity, you are the poster child of an evolving nation. An evolving, growing, progressing, evolving, I said that already, nation. So I'd like to share and close with something that a practitioner friend of mine named Jeanette Quinn Bisbee posted on Facebook. She writes a daily blog that's called, You Know What I Love? And she, like me, is an American transplant living in Canada. She met her husband online and moved from Northern California to Ontario. How cool is that, hey? So I wanted to share with her post from yesterday, the 150th anniversary, because I really liked it, and it was exactly what I wanted to say. It was like I could have just stood up here and read this and you would have gotten my point. Let me tell you what she wrote. I love the privilege and the peace of living in my adopted country of Canada. People are pretty excited here, as today is the 150th anniversary of the Confederation, when 4 regions of Canada came together to begin building the nation of Canada. Ontario, where I live, Quebec, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia joined up to begin making Canada. The rest of the regions gradually joined in to make up the country we are now familiar with. Prior to that, Canada, like the United States, was a colony of Britain. But unlike the U.S., Canada fought no war to start its own nation. Canada was conceived through discussion, deal-making, and cooperation. So getting along with your neighbors is a cherished tradition in this country. She goes on to say, so I am blessed to live in a country of friendly tolerance to other people. Blessed to live in a country where 60% of the citizens hold passports and travel widely throughout the world. Blessed to live in a country that seeks to assure its citizens of health care and freedom from bankruptcy if a family member gets sick. Blessed to live in a country of such natural beauty wherever you look. Blessed to live in a country that tries to be friends with the rest of the world. She goes on to say, so today we have banners out, little Canadian flags unfurled, pork shoulder cooking in the oven to make poutine, and white meringues and strawberry sauce, red and white, the colors of Canada, to eat for dessert, in celebration of 150 years of kind, friendly, polite, tolerant, peaceful Canada, my adopted homeland. Well, I couldn't have said it any better myself, except the whole cooking part, because I don't do that. So I say, happy birthday, Canada, true north, strong and free. Yeah, I'm done. You want to hear some more Canadian music?